Namatu Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Thursday, the 3rd of December, 2020, and this is Achan Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here with you all tonight. And hi everyone, hi Karina, Manish, Margaret, Tuan, and good evening, Margaret. And today is a very cold day. Good evening, Tan and Sandra. Today is very cold up here in Aberdeen. At the center, inside the house, it's about around 8 or 9 degrees, and outside it's -5. So freezing cold, and yet no wind, and so good. It's a crunchy walk on the grass. So it's a beautiful day. Beautiful, okay? Beautiful, but very cold. You can't stay a long time outside of the cottage. So, or you may have to wear good clothes, then you can survive. Right, so today again I will be talking in relation to the Anupupikatha, or the gradual teachings that the Buddha gave to the Yesa young man, the first wealthy householder, and that came to contact with the Buddha after he was enlightened. And we all would like to have comfortable life, comfortable and a happy life, and this has been a part of the all work that people we all do for our own comfort and living standard. And the more we accumulate possessions and wealth and living in a comfortable life, we think that our life is fulfilled. And we're constantly looking for comfortable life where we don't need to work too much, or if possible not working at all. Someone is doing for you and you have a luxurious life living. And which is the main reason behind that we all would like to have securities in different forms. Now first, we would like to have a economical security in our life, and as a result we try to find a good job which pays well enough to give you a good survival life, and it covers all your expenses in your day-to-day life. And which is again another reason why people will be traveling far and wide, crossing a different difficulties, may sometimes have to cross the frozen mountains or the wild oceans, so that they would get a place where they can feel economically secure. And which is another reason why people migrate from one country to another countries. And once they have found economical security, and then again having a well enough and standard living, then again we'll try to find the comfortable place where you feel secure. So that is social security. So people will be trying to find out the social security in various ways. And if you don't have a social securities, and you are well enough with the finance and the wealth, then you will be trying to get different ways to keep yourself safe from any other bandits or lootings. You could, you may create, good walls to protect your houses and your walls to protect yourself. And if possible, you would be having a guards 24/7 days, and furthermore, these days we have got the CCTVs around. And these are simply to give us safety in the house. And if you have a good security, a social security, then you don't have to worry about these CCTVs or the 24/7 days security person. And that's why people are moving into the so-called West End, which basically means well enough people will be living together where everyone feels safe. And further on, again, in the UK, I would say that because of the good social service compared to rest of other worlds, people would like to travel to the UK for their own comfort and feel of a social security and secure in everywhere they go. Although there are some conflicts and insecurities in different places around in the different cities, and yet compared to other countries, generally UK is more safer and more caring to the people of the country. Doesn't matter where you come from, but the security is there for you. And as a result of that, we all would like to have this social securities. But despite of having this financial security and the social security, we still want to have some form of security after we have gone, or basically after life. And that is the reason behind there is a concept of life after death. And even the time of the primitive or primitive religion or primitive beliefs, there is two worlds. One is the human world or a living world, and the second is the life after death. And that's why you have, you may see the giant pyramids around here dedicated to the tombs of people who passed away, hoping for the next life. And throughout this history or prehistory knowledge that we have nowadays is again based on that previous human beings, those who passed away, been buried deep under the ground, and from the excavation all these buried tombs been found, and with that, on the basis of that, the greater understanding about the prehistorical people, we can understand. We can read about how they lived, how they were, or something like that, and how long these human beings been on earth. And on this basis that we all would like to have a spiritual security or comfort after death. And where here the reason behind that there is a priests or there is someone who mediate between the world of living beings and then the world of non-unknown or after death. So that's why gradually it has developed into a concept of the hell and heavens. And then all the theistic religion and non-theistic religions have got this debate between this hell and heaven, and which been long debated whether the existence of it or not non-existence of it. Nevertheless, we don't have any proof of it whether to believe or not. But from this information that we can gather from different religions, and whether the theistic religion or non-theistic religion, we do believe, we can have information about life after death, whether the eternal heaven or eternal hell, or the continuum on this samsara of different realms. The only difference between, and now I'm going to just speaking on the concept of a Buddhist, which being a non-theistic religion, that this doesn't rely on so-called creator to go into the next life or next rebirth or existence, but your action defines to the next birth. And that's why this spiritual security in terms of the Buddha's concept or Buddhism, we can find that your security you own, and you make your own security that you don't have to rely on. Meanwhile, the security that you are spiritually secure, the feeling of a psychologically secure, is again entirely based on your faith and confidence, and as well as how much you are prepared to attain that. If you have a faith only, or the confidence on what you believe in, then that is still known as not enough, because you're still giving your destiny on someone's hand. Whereas when you are giving to someone's hand, it is very uncertain, and it's based on that person or that entity to define your destiny. But if you have a faith and a confidence, and also you are sure with your action that you have performed, then you don't have to worry at all. So that's why, according to Buddha's teachings of a next life or a rebirth, is basically on the basis of how much you have a faith and a confidence in your action and the action that you perform. So your action defines the next life. So on the basis of that action, if you have done good enough, then you will not be having any worries or a doubt about afterlife, that where you're going to be and how you're going to be, because you have a full confidence of any results that you're going to get. And that result is basically on the basis of your action that you have been performing while you are alive. There was a question came asking me that if there is a hell and a heaven, or a concept of a heaven, how one will reborn in the heavens. And now, in terms of reborning in the heavens, it's based on two stages, or 2 or 3 stages. First, it is based on the generosity and how much you're generous, and then how much you're morally fit. So basically, how much you've been practicing in accordance with ethical values. Then that will help you to get into the heavens. And then, meanwhile, this is a lower heavens. Okay. And this heaven again, it is kind of psychologically giving us this comfort by giving this worldly comfort, and then we can feel, or we can relate to something that is comfortable, that we all wish for, wish to like it. So, like a lower heavens, the explanation is given is something like, there is a comfortable life, beautiful houses, and there will be maidens, and people will be serving you, and then all comforts that you think of in this world, you will be attaining that. And in order to get that, again, there is the actions that you have performed is being generous. and the more being generous you become, and then the morally you're practicing in accordance with the moralities, then certainty is there that you will be reborn in the heavens. That's why there is a saying that danang dadantu sadhaya. If you give generosity, if you give with a great faith and a confidence, then that will take you to the heavens. And there are plenty of stories in Vimana Vatu, one of the scriptures in the Sutta Pitaka, explaining about hundreds of stories that how one attained in the heavens. And this is again worldly affairs that we would like to attain. And the second stage that I think I mentioned yesterday about the Rupa Brahma, or the Rupa Bhumi, the place where there are 16 stages of the world, the heavenly worlds, the realms that one can attain, and that's again purely based on how much your mind is calm and concentrated. Okay, and then further on there are other four I mentioned about it. That again is based on the level of meditation that you have attained. And this is again, doesn't matter which realms you reborn, we are still subject to decay and death, as long as we haven't attained the liberation. With that, there was a question I was asked that what about the aliens in Buddhist concept? And I went on and searched about it and how the Buddhist approach to the aliens. And first of all, this question, in my own understanding, about 10 years ago when I was studying counseling in Burton College, and I was asked about a short essay on the aliens and how you approach. My understanding was that we are all aliens in this world. And particularly at that time I was just moved to UK, and I was completely new in this world, in the UK world. And I felt I myself was an alien in this country. So with that concept, when I reflected on the Buddha's teachings that we are all aliens on this earth, when you look at the Aganya Sutta, in a Digha Nikaya, the long discourses, Buddha said that how the universe, how this earth, the human beings developed, says that the Abhasara Brahma, the one of the heavenly beings who were wandering around from different realms, and then somehow he came across with this earth and gradually transformed himself, and then the lineage of a human life developed, a revolution of the human life developed until now. So on the basis of that, the main source suggests that we are the aliens on earth as well. And further on, we ourselves, coming from another world, another country to some other countries, basically we are alien in that country, in that community too. But over the period of a time, as we humans, think that this earth belongs to the humans and we exploit it so much. Similarly, if we are not wise enough, then whichever countries or whichever community we migrated, and disregards of that community, then again we are exploiting that too. So it's up to us to maintain it in its own origin or to destroy it. And in relation to that, so far I have been studying about the culture and how the culture changes. And from my understanding, what I found that the Chinese people normally, when they travel from one place to another, they will be setting up their own community in those countries or in those places, and yet they will not interfere with the existing culture, and in the meantime will not destroy. They will introduce their own culture. So, but they maintain their culture in there. Similarly, other migrated communities are also in that way too. And in that migration, normally we all would like to maintain our own identity, as I am belong to this country and that country, I am belong to this ethnicity, that ethnicity, and then I am belong to this religion and that religion. On the basis of these, what we are doing is I am different than someone else, and yet we would like to have a comfort and a freedom from everything. So with that, when we look at the Buddha's concept, what we realize, what we understand, that we have to break these boundaries so that we will be merging into the community or in the society as one, as a human beings. So in that, when I look at, basically, we aliens trying to make this alien planet as our one. And even from the macro level into the micro level, we are in that way. In the Buddhist concept, when I look at it, there are, the Buddha defined the human beings in 4 different planes. And the one is a Jambudvipa, that means this human beings, world of these human beings. And there are the second one called Uttarakuradipa. There's another world system there where there also exist the human beings like us, similar to us, breathing beings. And there is another place is called Puppa Videha Deepa. There are also similar human beings living. And then there another world system is called Amara Koyana Deepa. So basically there are 4 different world systems where we can find similar human beings exists in another part of the world system. Okay, and this is only what the Buddha mentioned about the similar like a human beings living in these 4 deepas, or the system, world system. And we probably call in a modern world, in a modern language, whenever we talk about them, talking as aliens. Okay, and meanwhile, these are not just the 4 world system that the Buddha talked about. There are, Buddha has mentioned so many world systems around in this universe that one cannot comprehend by traveling, or even by comprehending by thinking. So that many world system out there that which we cannot comprehend. And the Buddha said that this is a waste of time if you are trying to make sense of this world system. It's endless. There's so many parallel universe out there that it's impossible for one to comprehend it. Even just the one discourse, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, that I was explaining for 3 months' time, in that sutta says 10,000 world system had been shaken after the Buddha gave this discourse, like that. So there are, even just the 10,000 is so much, and within that 10,000, there are another 4 world system where there are similar beings living like human beings. So that's why they may be known as aliens. But nevertheless, wherever you are born, wherever we born due to our karma, and not thinking of our spiritual security, and as long as, and this is again according to the Buddha's teachings, as long as we haven't attained the liberation, or basically free from greed, hatred and delusion, then we would not be free from the cycle of a birth and a death, and then we may have to return back again and again. But nevertheless, the concept here, the gradual teaching that the Buddha gave to the householders, is simply to satisfy that there are more better than a human world. So human world that we think is so good already, there are better worlds out there that we can attain, and that attainment can be achieved by our own good deeds. Okay, so that's the third stage of a gradual teaching that Buddha was talking about, and this stage again is still very controversial, and it's very difficult to comprehend, and and it's difficult to explain whether the existence or non-existence of that. But overall, in order to what is called grasp this spiritual security that we were talking, we are living, we are thinking of for our own comfort. Basically, there is a life after death, and this life after death again is conditioned by our own action. And then, as long as this is continuing, we will be returning back into this world system for continuous way. But the moment when we are free, non-returner, and then not returning, and that is the so-called the island is there and yet to attain that island. So that called a Nibbana. And that is the moment we will be free from this cycle of a birth and a death, and that is the so known as the ultimate happiness, according to the Buddha's teaching, or Samma moment. Okay, Bon. Right, so I end here for this third gradual teachings of the Buddha, and then another two will follow, and will continue on that following days. So thank you everyone for listening, and may you all be well and happy. In a few moments time, we'll have a chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Satu.